do some revision of defining the function and how to call it, and how to use it in the Python environment. We know in the math that we have different type of functions. I'm going to leave a link below for Khan Academy, which I believe they are the best people to explain the math behind it, or even the basics of the function if you want to just get around before deep into Python. So today we're going to just touch on the basics, just to see how you can define a function and how you can call it. So for example, if we have this function and we want to define it in Python, so the way we do it is you define a function like this. Define function x, the variable, and colon, and you click enter. You notice here you've got like 4 spaces, because anything within the function, it has to be indented within the function, so it's inside this function. That's why if you notice, you see some Python codes that there is always like spaces and blocks and stuff like that. So that's because of this, because it's related, anything will be beneath it will be related to this function only and nothing else. So we have something called return. Is you tell the function to return is 2 times x plus 3, and we click shift enter. That means the code is working. So now we want to solve this equation, because we know this one is a variable. We can call it with any variable we want and it will give us the answer. For example, if you put 1, so it will be 2 times 1 plus 3, which is 5, that is the equation. That's why we said return 2 times 1 plus 3 equal 5. So let's try it. If 1 shift enter equal 5. If we get another number, if 5, see how much it should give us, like 2 times 5 equal 10, 10 plus 3 equal 13, and you get the answer. So this is how we define this function. The good thing about it is that, for example, let's say you wanna you have different variables. For example, this one, define function. You can put a couple of variables like x and y and z. Enter. The function is indented. Means you, because sometimes if you didn't put this double dot and you press enter, it will go just to the next line. So make sure you put the colon. When you click enter, click return. Let's say, for example, you wanted 2 times x times y plus 2 times x times z plus 2 times y times z. And it's better if you leave, don't do like me, leave always a space after the arithmetic operator, like between before and after, so just to make it more organized. So for example, if we give it this equation and we have 3 variables x, y, z, we define it. So shift enter. Now you can have it. But this way, if you notice, it's very confusing way. You want to make it easy for anyone to read. So for example, let's assume this one is the area. You want to calculate surface area. So you can make it like this to be more understandable. Define a function of surface area, and between the bracket we have width, we have height, we have depth. Oh, sorry, I clicked to execute this. I should have clicked enter. That's why I should have clicked, because this one, if you try to execute it, it will give an error. So that's why you have to press enter to define the function, what you want from this function. So for example, let's say if we have a front side, let's imagine it's a cube, rectangular, or a cube shape. So we have a front. The front, it will be width time height, we have side equal depth times height. We have the top side also. We can assume it to be top equal with times depth. Sorry. So imagine we got these three, because we know the surface area, it has to work out the surface area you need width and height and depth, and you go to each side in the cube and you multiply it, because that is the rule to calculate the surface area. And because it's a cube, we have two fronts, for example, because one in the front, one in the back, so we consider it as two fronts, and two sides from the left and right. We have both sides will be equal, and the top and the bottom will be equal surface area. So if we want to calculate the surface area for the whole cube, we can say return, it will be 2 times front, and you add it to 2 times side, and you add it to 2 times top, and shift enter. See, now the code is working. Now the error has been disappeared, because we needed to define the function, what we want from this definition. We have to specify what we want from this definition by putting the return and define anything in between that we need to do. So if we call the surface area, if we have a surface, if we have a cube that it has, okay, so we want to calculate the surface area for it. Surface area, we have a cube with the height is 2 meters, for example, 1 meter is the height, and 4 meters is the depth, and we click shift enter, we get the answer straight away. So this is how you calculate the area. This is how you can use the function for, because you can do it in different way, but it will be a longer code. It will be very long code to do, so it's better to do it in a function, so it will be in more neater way. Secondly, you can use it multiple times. You don't have to use the same numbers over and over again. So for example, I finished from the first cube. I have another cube to calculate its surface area. You do again surface area. We have, for example, 3, 3, 3. Let's see how much it will give us. Oh, sorry. Surface area. Guys, watch out for the spellings. Yeah, watch out for the spellings, please, guys, because sometimes if you miss typo, it will really not run. So don't panic and just try to troubleshoot it easily, and you will be fine. Also, what you can do is you can assign it to object. For example, you can assign this function to variable. For example, if we say object 1 equal surface, basically this one, if we take this one and you copy it and you assign it to object, shift enter, and you call this object 1, it will give you the answer, which is the same as this one. So now we finish from this function calling. We can go and touch on the rounding when you round the number, because sometimes in Python it tries to be very accurate, and when it gives the answer, for example, let's say here x equal 2353 divided by 43, and if you call the x, see the number, it will give you a lot of figures after the decimal. Like, it will give you a long number, which is not practical for us to use. So we can tell Python to round it for us. For example, let's say round, that is the function you call it in Python, round x, it will round it to 5. You can even specify if you want to leave some of the decimal points. You can say round x if you want 2 decimals. It will be 54.72. So it will get these 2 points. But something else I needed to mention. As you can switch to the second argument, I want you to notice this. When I round 3.5, we know that it will give us 4 because it's a 5, and when we round up we add the number here by 1, and we remove the decimal point, as we can see here. But what if we have round 2.5? By our own understanding, we know from the math that it should give us 3, but here it will give us 2. So why it gives us that? Because Python tried to reduce the error, so it used the convention to round to even number. So you need to keep that in mind. It always rounds to the even number. It doesn't round to the odd number. We'll see this in the future because there is some things with the precision and accuracy with the numbers. The Python has a convention to handle it. So let's take another example. If we say round 678.5, it will be 678. That is the even number. What if we say round 679.5? It will give us 80. So yeah, as I mentioned, this rounding method is better for dealing with precision and precision's error. To hide any error in the future. So after we finish from the rounding convention and the function, we can go through the importing packages. We know in Python we have packages because sometimes if you want to call pi equal 3.14, it's a correct number, but Python have a more accurate value. So we can import it from a library, something called the library. The library is a function contain. It's a package contain functions and values that ready to be used. It's like as if like from a shelf. You don't need to write a code for it. It's just you get that library and you put it on top of your code and you keep calling the different variable or different numbers from that library. For example, let's say import math. When you import math, from math we have pi. We can say math dot pi. I want to know what's the value of pi from math. That is the value. See, to give you more accurate number in Python. Also, if you want to use, for example, the 3.14 in area, so you see you say area equal math dot pi multiply it times 5. Just come calculate the area here times 2, and the area it will be 7858. It's more accurate figure. You can also get different functions from the math package. For example, square root. You can say math dot square root. Square root is sqrt. If you want to get square root for 100 or let's say 25, you will get a 5. If you want to get math dot square root 1 2 3, okay, 11. Also you can get different things from the package, like for example the logarithm math dot e. If you want logarithm of e, it will give you 1. And if you want to get math dot logarithm math dot e, if you take it to the power 10, so you just can play around with the packages and you see what it does consist. There is a way to show what's inside the package. Let me see if I still remember it. Is it dir math? Yeah, dir math. So you can see the whole things that you can do with the package. See, we have the pi, we have the radiant, we have the square root, we have everything you can call it from here. So don't worry to memorize all these things. Whenever you want it, you just try to use the dir with the package, and you will see which one you want to use in your calculation or in your code. Okay. Yeah, let's use a different one. Let's use a sine. Math.sine. I want to convert to radian here to see if it will work. Divide it by 2, you get 1, and so on. There is different ways to import the package. For example, if you don't want to import everything in here, you want to import just a specific thing during your code. This is how you do it. So you say from math, the math package, import only one thing, import pi. So now when you want to call the function, you don't have to read math.pi. You can just use pi and shift enter. You get the figure. You get the number, the value you want. So it's a better way to write the code. But if you try, let's say you want to sine 20, you're gonna get an error. Why? Because you just called pi, you didn't call the whole package. So here you need to call the whole package like before. But what if you want to do in this way? You want to write it in this way, but without multiply by math, and you want to do in this way. Just call the function. You don't want to multiply or math.pi. So the way to do it is you say from math import everything. The asterisk, it means everything. And when you come in here, sine 20, and you get the figure. So you import everything. Just you use this way, just so you can use the code in this way to be more neater and more shorter. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. And if any question, please leave it below. I will leave the Khan Academy website so you can do some revisions in the functions, just to get your head around with the functions. But it's not needed that much, but it will be good if you go through it, just to have more control in the code. We'll see you guys in the next video.